What's going on? Going on an overland trip, solo overnight overland. It's late August here. It's been a hot, muggy summer with a lot of monsoons. But this weekend, the high is 79 forecast. So we're gonna go up to the desert, see if we can get a good camp in, see if it's not too muddy to get into the desert wilderness. And we're gonna go to a real special area, kind of the same area I was exploring last time. That area I'm gonna go to is very remote. It's gonna be a bunch of off-roading, and it's on this real far side of the canyon where I've never been on that side. And I've hiked a portion of it last time I was day hiking, and it was really cool. A lot of really cool spots there. Alright, so we're going to be in Utah also, where the wilderness area is. It's about 60 miles of a drive on a highway, and about, I think, 15 miles of off-roading. Made it to camp, nice and remote, and I have 2 bars of service here, which is weird, but we're gonna set up camp. It's 72 degrees, but the sun is still a hot one, so I just watered down youth with some water. I'm gonna set up my awning for some shade, and I'm gonna do some camp chores. This is a real cool spot. Beautiful. Look at all this dead wood for fire. And a dead juniper tree right there. We got some clouds. That'll be nice to cool down. I'll still have to really be careful if it starts raining. It did get a little bit sloppy coming in here through some sections, but I do have chains and a large shovel. So as long as I'm on the flat side and not the cliff side, I'll be all right to get in and out. But very happy to be here. This is my favorite canyon. This is the high side of the canyon right here. As you can see, the valleys down there. So there's a lot of really cool stuff here. And I say that guessingly, but I know this is very remote. So if I'll find antlers or, you know, some cool rust, it'll be here, if anywhere. So you, big girl. Euphys already has found the shade. Hi, big girl. Doing a walkabout. Just doing a big circle, a quarter-mile around my camp. See what's out here. Get to the high side, see what I could see. All right, doing some camp chores. Started digging out my pit here. Away from trees. And over here is an old pit. So you can see here there's an old pit, a very old one. You can see the circle of it. You can see some old cans. Saw another can over here. Look at that fly, bastard. Get out of here, you son of a bitch. Anyway, look at this. Probably 50, 60 years old. Not a very well used campsite, that's for sure. All right, setting up my camp here. Still pretty stormy, but I'll take the clouds over the hot sun. Youth is hot. I give her some ice water, cool her down a little bit. All right, setting up my camp. Got my awning. That's a Smitty awning. It's the largest one they got. Works really good. Way better than my ARB. Way user friendly. Way easier to set up. And just a lot more little accessories on it compared to my ARB. And I got my blanket on top there to give me more shade. It's getting a little windy, so I've stabbed my blanket down with some big carabiners. So I want to just keep cool. It's the midday sun, so I don't want to play around with it. Just gonna have a nice Mountain Dew and some ice. Keep it cool. Don't get too hot. The sun is still hot. It's still, if I leave my phone on my hood or something, it heats up really quickly. Go in beast mode on this fire pit, made it fairly deep, about a foot, and building out a lot of rock, a lot of heavy rock. But the wood situation around here is dead juniper, so it's very hard to get juniper to become a lot smaller and fire pit size. So the better my fire pit is, the safer my fire will be, and the less cutting I'll have to do of juniper or breaking it to make it fit into the pit. So I'm making it good size, and I'll fill it back in when I leave. But I just want to be fire safe. There has been fires in the desert here. I think 2 years ago there was one on the far side of this canyon, and that area is just terrible. That area, the Forest Service sprayed fire retardant on it, so not only is it burnt black, it's covered in like red chemical fire retardant. So I'm not playing around when it comes to making my fire safe. And as you see, it takes a lot of work. I mean, it's probably 500 pounds of rock. A lot of digging, a lot of smashing through rock. But the better this is, the easier I just throw wood in there to burn. Taking a little break. Gonna do a little hike. Camp chores get kind of boring quick, so good to freshen up with a hike. That's where my camp is right there. I got some, looks like the darkest clouds are coming from that side. Still beautiful though. I'm just gonna hug the ridge here. So if I was looking for water, I would definitely go into that draw. You see the natural V shape that funnels water in. So if there's water anywhere in this canyon, it would be down there or up top where there's nice polished rock. All right, I've been hiking for about 3 miles, just doing some kind of zigzagging around my camp, probably about 2 miles away from my truck. This is the only human activity I've found here. And it looks like 1915 U.S. General Land Office Survey. So before before BLM, Bureau of Land Management, I guess it was General Land Office Survey. And this is I think this is the state line for Utah also. But cool, definitely in there real good. Look how cool this is too. Like this is one of those industrial era markers where it's, you know, fully ironed. Probably weighs about 100 pounds. Solid iron. And this is like the new stuff they use. It's broken. Part of it is smashed over there. Like this doesn't stand the test of time. This is over 100 years old. 107 years old, approximately. And this is probably 20 years old and it's already smashed. It's making waste in the desert, plastic. But iron, standing the test of time for sure. Look at this. This is some kind of bedding down area with a lot of signs. Not sure. This is definitely white fir. Maybe fox. My guess would be fox. or coyote, one or the other. Completely white fur. It doesn't look like a kill site. It looks like a bedding down site, so some nasty clouds coming in. Got my fire all ready to go. My grate here. So my plan is just to make a big inferno for the first go at it. And then once this burns down, I'll have a good bunch of coals. I'm going to cook potatoes with. Some campfire potatoes. I got to keep an eye on that thing. I'm fairly waterproofed, so I'm not that worried about that storm, but if it does come through, I have to kind of speed it up and cook real quick before I get slapped around by this thing here. It's coming this way, as you saw in that time lapse. It's coming towards me, so. Dinner is served. Baked potato. Made it with aluminum foil on the fire. Steak I made on the coals of the fire, not on the skillet. Haven't had that in a while. When you do it on the coals, it sears the outside, so it traps all the juices in. It doesn't really drip down like a lot of people think. But I got some secret sauce here. I got a salad with spinach from my own garden. Tomato, cucumber, and honey mustard dressing. Got baked potato with some butter in there. That's it. And nice juniper smoked steak with some ice and a Coke or store-bought cola. And I got a bug zapper here right above me because there's flies, so they're getting zapped. I don't want them fucking with my food. So turned out well. Skipped the monsoon. The monsoon just kind of paralleled me, so I'm happy about that. But anyway, bon appetit. It's time to eat dinner. Alrighty, making my brew for the evening. This is Oregon grape berry from the forest. Remnants of my potato cooking, but I'm gonna just brew my water on the fire. Throw some of these berries in there, and it'll taste like sweet wine. All right, I'm gonna go on a hike now. Got my GPS set up. Got a water bottle with some ice. These are 2 REI lookouts. This one over here, I had a near-death experience in on the coast of California. But it's getting kind of thrashed out. You can see it's getting ripped there. So going back to this one, and it's got over 5 years on it, and you can see like stuff like this, like the mesh is a waste of money. It's completely useless. These pockets are still all good, zippers are good, but mesh in general, I would avoid packs with mesh on them. But anyway, I got my hiking pole here, light as possible. This is salt cedar, tamarisk. If there was no salt cedar in Colorado, the Colorado River would be a foot higher. So this is an invasive hardwood. It grows like a sprawl, doesn't grow too tall, so it's good to harvest. Anyway, we're gonna explore this canyon here, the far side of it, that side, see what's out there. And some clouds coming in. It's already getting hot. It's around low 80s right now. I've been dousing Youth down with water, so she's got a little mud hole over there. She's gonna hang at camp, keep it cool, sit in her little Sphinx yoga position. Youth, my big girl. Yeah, she doesn't hike in the desert when it's hot. She knows better. And you can see here, this plateau sage, as you get to the cliffside, turns more into less dense juniper. And this is just better hiking here. It's more fun, frankly. Look at this. A really well built hearth. There's a point where the campfire pit becomes a hearth, and this is it right here. And there's a road back there that I run into, but there's no like camp road here, so this is pretty cool. Looks like a hunting camp, something like that. Okay, I'm hiking this canyon rim. Found a road. This is the far side of the road that I cut off on. But anyway, this is called the transition zone in hunting, where it goes from one type of terrain into another type of terrain. And you'd think that there'd be more activity on this transition, and there is in terms of vegetation, but a lot of critters don't like the canyon drop, so they don't really hang out on the edge here. They're more on, you know, in the area where it's flat. Not much signs of water here. I don't see any like cottonwood. All the way down there I see a little bit of green cottonwood. That's where the water would be. Otherwise it's all juniper and pinon pine. Pretty rocked out here. No roads or trails down there. This would be a good valley to explore for treasure. But it would be a problem to get down. As you can see, it's like a bowl through most of it. 50 to 100 foot cliff. And it's hot. So I'm not gonna go in there because it's just too hot. I could take time and go down there safely, but the sun is just beating down and I just don't want to get too hot. Jishi, how's it going, Jill? Okay, Okay, off-trail hiking. Look at this. This is pottery here. Look how beautiful that is. Very intricate. Attention to detail. Good sized piece too. And leave it facing down so it preserves. So when you see things like this, like pottery, and you'll see usually a bunch of it, it means that there's a structure nearby where they camped or where they had a little fortress. And by them I mean native pueblos. So I see something in the far distance there. I'm not sure what that is. Anyway, so when you see stuff like this, it means there's a structure nearby. See pottery there, pottery there. Okay, so the structure is actually right here. It doesn't look like much, but this is what it is. You'll see how, like I mentioned before, this is all just sage, brush, some Mormon tea, some pecan pine. And over here, look here, and there's a bunch of rocks collected. And that's a sign of a primitive structure. You see they've been all knocked down because they haven't been mudded with clay. But this is a total old structure of ancient pueblos. So I have to be careful where I step. I don't want to step on any pottery or any artifacts. So you can see that's pottery right there. That's called corrugated pottery. So this was a cook pot. It's stronger than that clay pottery because it's corrugated. Yeah, it's a hot one today. But this is how you identify old structures. It's very apparent too if you look real close that there's no rocks anywhere in a collection except here. So you'll know that there was some activity here because they stacked up a bunch of rocks here. The ancient pueblos were here since 10,000 BC, so they were here for a long time. They left around 1200 AD, this area. They booked it north. So these are very old structures, at least 900 years old, but these especially are much older. This is probably before Christ, some of this stuff. So I want to be careful. I don't want to step on any pottery. Catching some shade. About 2 hours in. My ice water is cold, so I'm going to finish it off. And I'm also, for heat management, I have glasses, hat, and a wet buff or a wet neck gaiter, just because it's so hot. But the wind is coming around. I haven't seen the wind or heard the wind all summer. It's weird. We get about 3 seasons of wind here: fall, winter, and spring. In the summer, the wind kind of goes away. Monsoons show up, but the wind is slowly starting to show back up, which is nice. But anyway, we're hiking. I'm gonna go to that canyon over there on that far side. It's kind of boring in the sagebrush, but good chance I'll find bones, antlers, or rust in this area. Gypsy. I'm gonna douse Gypsy with some ice water. Gypsy, come here, bud. Check this out. Abandoned road. Definitely overgrown. You can see the patch of it. I'll take it. It's getting hot, as you can see. Gyps is panting, so We're gonna go to the far side of the canyon, look for some water wells, water pools. Hot one, Hudjup. Check this out. This is all primitive structure. You can see down there, it's all built out. This looks like where the shelter would be. Nice little shelter. Not that good though. So they built something out here, it looks like. Good windbreak, if anything. You can definitely feel the wind up here on the canyon side. Good vantage point from here too. You can see a lot of activity over here. Nice antler. Just kind of fall off over here. Okay. So water is a major issue out here. If you're stuck out here, lost out here without water. But you can find things like this. This is called a hedgehog. And it's similar to kiwi. So what you do is you just take one of them out, and this is one of the few cactuses that has a lot of fruit body, a lot of like beaver tail, prickly pear. They're all kind of thin, so you have to take a lot of time to take the spine off them and the prickers just to get a little bit of reward. That's not the case with this one. This one, if you harvest a big piece of it, it's very similar to kiwi. It's like a little bit drier than kiwi because it's a cactus, but it's definitely got moisture in it. So this is what you would do if you were stuck out here and you needed water, an emergency ration of water. You would look at stuff like this. Like I'm hiking the canyon rim here specifically so I could look for open, flat, or polished rock that will have water pools. I'm not having any luck, so I'm going back to my truck to water back up. But stuff like this would save your life here. So you would need a knife to cut it all up. Otherwise you'd have a hard time harvesting the fruit out of it. But as you can see, there's a good amount of cactus right there. So if you were to cut all these out, and it's like 10 kiwis right there. That's the way you got to look at it. And I've tried it before, I've tasted it before, and it's very similar to kiwi. Found some water in the desert. Right there. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to drink that, but I am going to wet my buff in it. Oh, look at that. Boom. Another antler. Everyone has the same idea. Getting super parched. First water find of the day. Dude, there's a dual survival in Utah with those two dudes from Naked and Afraid. And they're in Utah in a canyon in the summer looking for, they're just surviving basically. And these guys obviously have never been in the high desert. So they make a fire. It's 100 degrees and they make a fire to distill water from some kind of, I forget, it's a plant or something. I forget what they made to distill the water from. But they use like a metal piping they have from a parachute liner or something like that. Just some real crazy cable bullshit stuff, you know. They're in the Utah desert and they make a fire at 100 degrees to distill water, which is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. If it's 100 degrees and you're going to make fire, you're going to fucking dehydrate yourself and you're going to go into heat stroke. I mean, this is mid 80s and look at that little dog, man. She's feeling it. And I'm feeling it too. But this is where you'd find a source of water, like places like this. You know, you just got to keep walking to the canyon side to where you see green. You can see that. That's I think it's salt cedar, actually, invasive. But it grows near water pockets. So, yeah, this is where you'd find water. Places where there's polished rock on top of the canyon, or where there's draws like this. And you see evidence of water in places like this. For one, you see different trees like cedar, invasive. Even though it's invasive, it still grows near water. And you'd see cottonwood in places like this too. So I'm gonna wet my buff to cool it down a little bit. And we're gonna keep hiking. So this is the best natural shelter that I've seen here all day. Near water, because you're in this draw. So those pockets of water are here. And since it's so hot, you go in here to cool down. You can see evidence of water there too. Much cooler in here. Probably 15 degrees cooler. So if you were in a survival situation, this is where you'd want to be. You just hunker down here, keep it cool during the day. And then at night, the good thing about the desert is that you can see light far off. So you would have a better chance of getting out in the night just because you can have a bearing to hike to. And if it's a full moon, you'll have plenty of light. But yeah, this would be the great spot to shelter in an emergency, in a monsoon, anything like that. It's a big ass monsoon right there. You ready to go, honey? Oh, my little monkey. Ready to go? Yeah, it's a hot one for my lab. The bugs too don't help. But good taste of desert. Be back when there's no bugs. Okay, back at camp here. And massive storm has come over the horizon. What I was not hoping for. And I was gonna stay till 5 in the morning tomorrow, Monday. Go back home and go to work at 7. But I think I'm gonna pack up shop. I know I'm packing up shop and going home now, because if I get stuck with rain, this road will wash out and I'll have to stay an extra day. I'll have to cancel my bookings for tomorrow, which will not be good. So you've had a good time at camp. being a good girl. Gyps ran around all day. I had a good hike. It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're gonna go home. Maybe I'll do a hike as I get out, but this storm system has been rumbling and grumbling, and that is not good. So, I mean, it's good in terms of it keeps the heat down, but the hottest part of the day is over, so it doesn't even matter now. So, I'm gonna leave. I don't want to risk my truck getting smashed up when this road washes out, so I'm gonna hurry up and book out of here. I've filled my fireplace in with dirt. Built a beast fireplace. I'll be back here in the winter for sure. Hanjuf, Mama Baker. Nifa's feeling hot today. I brought 14 gallons of water. I probably dumped more than half of them on her just to keep her cool. She's a big lab, so she needs to stay cool. But this was a good camp.